Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. My name is Neon, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make a sun and moon candy cuff. So let's get started. Before we start, if you could leave a like and subscribe, that would really help me and my channel out. I'm also going to add a trigger warning for scissors and a needle because I will be using both of those in this video today. Thank you! So what we're going to do is add on beads until basically it fits around our wrist. We're going to be doing a pattern of like 2 blue, 1 white, 2 blue, 1 white. We're going to do that 5 times or halfway around your wrist, and then you're going to do the other colours, which is yellow and orange, the other halfway around. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm adding 2 blues and then 1 white. And because my wrist is 30 beads long, I only have to do this 5 times. If you have like a smaller wrist like mine, you could do this that many times. Just make sure it's in multiples of 3, however many times you do it. And then I'm going to add another 2 blue, and I'm going to add on my white. And then after I do it 5 times, I add on 2 lots. After I have 15 beads on my string, then I'm going to switch to the yellow and the orange. 2 yellow, 1 orange, 2 yellow, 1 orange. So I'll speed it up so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll show you how to tie it off. Now I'm just sliding down all the beads to the end of my string so I can tie it off. Do. And now I'm crossing the strings and threading the... oh, my bead fell off. Whoops. I'm crossing my strings, pulling the smaller one through, and pulling it tight to tie it off. It's just a basic square knot. So basically what you'd use to tie off any normal bracelet that you've ever made before. Yeah. Then I'm just going to cut off only that short string, so not the long one, because we're going to need that. We are going to need that string, so don't you cut that off, because we are going to need it. I'm going to string through that orange bead right there, so it's coming out of an orange bead. My long string is coming out of an orange bead. Then I'm going to add on my beads that I'm going to need to form this X base. So I'm going to start by adding on a yellow. Then I'm going to add on an orange and another yellow. And I'm going to go into the next orange bead, just like that. So skipping those 2 yellow in the middle and pulling it all the way through. And then I'm going to do that again. I'm going to add on a yellow, an orange, and a yellow, and go into the next orange. Like that. Pull it nice and tight. And my needle came undone. I'm going to add on a yellow, an orange, and a yellow into that next orange. Pull it nice and tight, and this is just forming the first row of our X base cuff. Nice and tight. And you're going to continue doing this pretty much all the way around. It'll be the same with the blue, so I'll show you what to do when you get to the blue bit. Now that we're at the blue bit, it's literally the exact same thing. You're going to add on a blue, a white, and a blue. And then go into that next white bead. So skipping those 2 middle blue beads. Pull it nice and tight. And do it all the way around. And I'll show you how to step it up to the next layer. I'll show you one more time. 1 blue bead, 1 white bead, 1 blue bead, into that next white bead. Pull it tight. And we're going to do it all the way around. Alright, now I'm adding on my last 3 beads for this row. Blue, white, blue. I'm going to go through that orange, through that yellow, and through that orange that's above the yellow. Pull it nice and tight, and this steps us up onto the second row of the cuff. And then we continue the exact same pattern. So I'll go yellow, orange, yellow, and then string through that next orange bead that's pointing up. Yellow, orange, whoop, I added 2 orange and yellow, and I string through that next orange bead. Pull it nice and tight, and you can see it's forming layers, just like that. Yellow, orange, yellow into the next one, yellow, orange, and yellow. Pull it nice and tight. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because you can see that there is this bit in between where you have your yellow and your blue. So what you're going to do instead is add a yellow, a white to match that middle bead, and then a blue to begin the blue bit. This way it stays all nice and even, and that you have the exact halfway point yellow and the exact halfway point of blue. And then you're just going to go back to a normal blue, so blue, white, and blue. And then when you reach that point on the other side, you're going to do the same thing, so they're both even. And then you'll step it up. Alright, and I'm on to the last 3 for this row, so I'm going to go blue, then I'm going to go orange to match the bead in the middle, and then yellow. And I'm going to string through the orange, the yellow, and the orange above it, like I show here, so it comes out the top of our new layer. Just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before all the way around again. I'll refresh it, I'll show you twice, and then I'll leave you to do this row by yourself. So we'll go yellow, orange, and yellow. And we're going to go through the next orange bead and pull it nice and tight. Yellow, orange, and yellow. Go through that next orange bead, and we're going to do that all the way around. And this one, you won't have to do any half and halves of like half yellow and half blue, if you know what I mean. You'll just have to do the 3 color all the way around. Alright, and I'm adding on the last 3 beads for this row again, so I'm going to go whoop, yellow, orange, yellow, and then go through that orange we usually go through, that yellow and the orange on the layer above it. Pull it nice and tight, and we're going to do the same thing we did all the way around. And remember, when you get to that halfway point, to do the blue and the yellow so it stays perfectly even on both sides. If it's not perfectly even, it really doesn't matter, but I just think personally that it looks better. So yeah. And I'll show you how to step it up, and we can do the last little bit of the X base, and then we'll move on to actually making the cuff look really cool. And so here I'm just adding on those last 3 beads and going through that orange, the yellow, and the orange above it, so we can move on to the last bit of the row. So we're going to add those last beads on, just like this. Go through those beads, like so. Pull it through, so it steps us up onto the last row, just like that. And for this last row, we're going to copy what we did on the bottom. So when you make a single, it's got those like 2 little beads there, and those go all the way around. So instead of doing 3, we're just going to add on 2. So I'm going to add on 2 yellow beads, and then we'll go through the next orange bead, 2 yellow beads, and then we'll go through the next orange bead, 2 yellow beads, and then we go through the next one, and so on and so forth, and same with the blue. So I'm going to speed this up, show you how to step it up and tie it off for the final time, and then we can add on the cool stuff. And now I'm adding on those last 2 beads, and I'm going through that orange and through the first yellow on the next row. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I'm going to tie it off. I'll try and explain it as best as I can. If you can't understand, there's heaps of tutorials on how to tie off cuffs on YouTube. I'm going to go through the middle. So I'm going to take my needle and put it through underneath one of the beads. There's like that hole in the middle. And then I'm going to pull it through and it creates like 2 strings. So you have 2 things and then you just do a square knot, but with those 2 strings. I hope that made some form of sense. I've been making candy cuffs this way since like as long as I can remember, so it's really hard for me to explain it. I saw someone explain it once somewhere, I don't remember where, but yes, I tie it off like 3-4 times to make sure that's super tight, and then I cut off the excess string and I will show you how to do the next bit. Alrighty. Right, so now we're going to actually go on to like making the cool bit of the cuff, which is the 3D bit. So I'm going to take my needle and put it through that orange bead that is next to that white bead. And I'm going to pull my string through. This is a new piece of string, so I'm not going to pull it all the way through so it doesn't completely, you know, come undone. Now, I'm going to add on 5 beads. I'm going to go 1 dark blue. Sorry, 1 light blue. 1 darker blue. 1 super dark blue, then a light blue, and an even lighter blue. And I'm going to take those 5 beads, slide them down my string, and put them through that white bead. Like that. Push it through all the way. Make sure I'm coming out of the right bead. Pull it through, hold that other string so it doesn't come completely undone, and it forms this little point. What we're going to do is we're going to make more points. So I'm going to add another 5 beads to my string. 1 light blue, 1 darker, 1 super dark blue, 1 lighter blue, and 1 even lighter blue, and go through that next white bead. And then when we get onto the yellow side, I'm going to add on a yellow bead, an orange bead, a red bead, an orange bead, and a yellow bead. And we're going to do that all the way around. And then we can move on to the next step. So I'll just add a quick little speeded up version of how I did that. Enjoy! I'm just adding on those last 5 beads, going through that bead that we started at. So I've got 1 string on each side of that bead. And then I'm just going to tie them together in a square knot. So cross the strings, thread 1 under, and pull it tight. And I like to do this like 4 or 5 times just to, you know, make sure it doesn't come completely undone. So once you've done that, cut off both the strings and we'll move on to the next step. Now this bit's a little bit trickier, but you're going to take your string and put it through the top dark blue bead, just like that. Just like that. And then you're going to put on a darker light blue and then a super light blue. If I can find one. There we go. And I'm going to turn my cuff and go through one of the middle white beads. So in the middle. I'll show you in half a second. Go through a middle white bead. Put the needle through, pull it through. I'm sorry if you can't see it very well, but when you've done it, it should form like part of an X. I'll probably show it a little bit better in a minute. So I do it like that. And then you're coming out of that white bead. You're going to add on a light blue this time, and then a darker blue. And you're going to go through that super dark blue bead. Just like that. And when you do this, it should make like these little X's. Then I'm going to add on a darker light blue and super light blue and go through the white. I didn't realize that as I was filming this. I don't know, I didn't film it very well, but I hope you kind of know what I'm saying. It makes like these little X's. So if you go through the middle row of white beads, there's like 3 rows of white beads, you gotta go through the middle one. There's 2 rows of white, how many rows of white beads is there? Yeah, I think there's 3, you gotta go through, yeah, there's 3, you gotta go through the middle row. And then when you get to the red bit, which is like, you know, the sun side, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to go yellow and orange instead. And when you make these X's, you'll see that like it'll match it. So you'll have the dark blue, and then the light blue, and then the dark blue, and then the light blue. Just like that. But you're going to do that with the red as well. And then I'll show you how to tie it off and move on to the next step. Alright, now I have strung through my last 2 beads and my strings are next to each other. I'm going to tie them off with a basic square knot. Just a couple of times. We can go like 1, 2, 3 times. I like to do it 4 personally, just so it definitely doesn't come undone. But yeah. And then when you're done, you're going to cut off both the strings, and you're going to repeat this step exactly the same on the bottom row. I'll add up a sped up version of me doing it, but you can go back and rewatch this part just to do it again on the bottom row. It's exactly the same. And then we'll move on to the next bit. Now you're going to string through one of these top blue beads, and we're going to add on 5 beads. I'm just pulling my string all the way through, but not so far that, you know, it falls out and everything comes undone. But I'm going to add a light blue, a dark blue, a white, a dark blue, and a light blue. And I'm going to slide those down and string it through the next blue bead. You know, creating those points. Just like that. Then we're going to do it again. Same colors. White bead, dark blue bead, light blue bead. String them all the way down and into the next blue point. Just like that. And again, light blue bead, dark blue bead, white bead, dark blue bead, and light blue bead. Whoop, light blue bead, light blue bead, and into the dark blue. Pull it nice and tight. And we're going to do that one more time. And then I'll show you what to do when we get to these middle sections. Light blue bead, dark blue bead, white bead, dark blue bead, and light blue bead. And into the next blue bead. Now, this is where we reach a point where we are in between a blue one and a red one. So what we're going to do when we get to this point is we're going to go half blue and half red. So I'm going to add on push my beads out of the way, bring the other colors in. We're going to fix this, so we're going to go light blue bead, a dark blue bead, a dark blue bead. I realized I messed up. Dark blue. Then the red. Whoop. Then the red. Then the red. Then the red. Then the orange. And then the yellow. And then you're going to go through that red bead that is pointing up. And I'll show you how to do one on this sun side, and then I'll leave you to do the rest. And I will show you how we do the next step after you tie it off, because I'm sure you know how to tie it off by now. Yellow, orange, red, orange, and yellow. String it through that red bead. Pull nice and tight, and you're going to continue doing this and then tie it off when you're done. Alrighty, now on that new row that we've just created, we're going to come out of one of these beads. So I'm going to come out of the white bead, just like that. And then we're going to make these X's again. So I'm going to add on an orange bead, and I don't know why I did a red bead. I realized I messed up, and then I had to go back. I took it out and got rid of the red bead. It's an orange and a yellow bead. And then we're going to put those on the string. And we're going to go through the red bead to create that X like we did with the first layer, but we're doing it the second time. So now we're going to add a yellow and a red. Oop, a yellow and a red. Not red, what am I talking about? Orange. And we're going to go through the red. That's what I meant to say. And it creates that X, as you can see. Then we're going to add on an orange and a yellow and go back up through that red. Like that, pulling it nice and tight. And you're going to do this all the way around, and it'll be the same with the blue sides, except you'll be doing light blue and darker blue instead of the red and orange. Not red and orange, orange and yellow. Oh my gosh. And make sure you tie it off when you are done, and we will move on to the final step. I'm sorry if this tutorial has been a bit confusing. It is like almost midnight for me, and I am lacking the brain to voice over. So I hope it makes some form of sense. Alrighty, we are on to the final stretch. I'm taking my last piece of string and I'm going through one of those middle beads. So one of the middle beads of the X, so it's going to be that white one to start with. And this is an optional step. Like if you don't have stars, you can just add other beads, but I'm going to add a star. These ones are specifically glow in the dark, and I'm going to go through that next white bead. Because it just, the stars kind of go with the moon, so I thought it'd be cute to add stars. So I'm going to do this all the way for this blue part. And then when we get to the red part, we're actually going to build the last part of the sun, and then we'll tie it off and we'll be completely done. Just adding on those stars pull them nice and tight, and they will kind of like fit into the gap perfectly, and it just looks so cute when you're done. You don't have to add the stars. If you have like pearls or something, those work as well. But if you have stars lying around and you're not sure what to do with them, put them on the scarf. You could also put letters if you wanted. You could put letters. That'd be cool. I only just thought of that. This like cuff kind of reminds me of like the FNAF like sun drop and moon drop one, if that makes sense. Yes. Right, just adding on that last star and going through that white bead. Oh, except this one is a red bead because my brain is not working. Alright, and now we're going to build the last bits of the sun. So, these are just going to be like really big points like we've done before, but instead of 5 beads, we're going to be doing 9. So I'm going to go with this colour scheme. I'm going to go with a yellow, then we're going to go with an orange, then a red, then a darker red, then a normal red, then an orange, and then a yellow. And we're going to string it through that next red point to create that big spike. Just like so. We're going to go through that red bead. Boop. Pull it nice and tight. And we're going to do that 4 more times. And then when both of our strings are on the same side, we're going to tie it off and we will be done. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this helped. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with someone else. I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Merch link is also down below if you're interested. See ya!